Frieren Season 2 just ended, and one thing really stood out to me. Frieren has changed. Some changes are easy to miss, and others are surprisingly dramatic. When we first met her, she felt distant, she was closed off. She'd travel with people, spend years together, and then move on without really thinking about it. But as she journeys with Fern and Stark, she starts to see things differently. She pays more attention, she cares more about other people's time, and she knows that Fern really runs the group, and that change might be exactly what she needs for what's coming next. Since there's only 10 episodes in Season 2, I figured I'd wait and binge it all in one day. I'm pretty sure half of you did the same thing. I mean, waiting week by week is just, ugh. The party now enters the Northern Plateau, a perilous region they couldn't access before without a first-class mage. Way to go, Fern. Much of Season 2 focuses on the continued Northern Travels arc, which leans more into standalone, slice-of-life style adventures, rather than one long, high-stakes battle. It's a little different, but everyday moments are what make the journey feel special. The campfire scenes were always some of my favorite parts. It reminded me of the downtime between adventures from Delicious in Dungeon and Lodos War. I was always a sucker for great dialogue nestled around a campfire. The Northern Plateau is uncharted territory for Fern and Stark, a region known for harsh climates, formidable beasts, and remnants of a long-forgotten age. We also learned that Frieren racked up an 80-year-long debt. Let's just say, when she came back, they came collecting. The biggest change this season is Frieren herself. Out of the three, Frieren has probably changed the most. She's more expressive, and she smiles a lot more. And after everything the group has gone through, she has every reason to. I was on Facebook a few months ago, minding my own business, doing my usual lurker things. And if you know anything about me, I go out of my way to avoid anything related to an upcoming series I'm excited about. In any case, there was an image that kept slithering onto my feed like a snake. And if you're in one of those groups, you know exactly the one I'm talking about. It's the one of Frieren having a full-on temper tantrum. Everyone's had tantrums before. It's only natural. But Frieren, she had one for 3 days and 3 nights. Why, you ask? Because apparently, if you call her old 3 times, she'll go off her rocker. My goodness. She isn't one to confront conflict directly, especially with a friend. So rather than talk it out, she doubles down on a tantrum. I'm actually kind of curious which one of these knuckleheads did it. If I were a betting man... I learned 2 things about Frieren this season. 1, don't call her old, even though she's over 1,000. And 2, this season flipped the script on how I thought Frieren would act and behave. She has meltdowns, doesn't care about money, and probably the most shocking of all is how the party's food supplies can all go into Frieren's suitcase. I've had this static image of Frieren in my head for years, but it turns out she's more relatable than I ever expected. These changes might seem trivial to most, but to me it's huge for her character growth, and I'm really excited to see where the growth takes her next. Seriously though, how does everything fit in there? Frieren isn't the only one coming into her own. We also get a glimpse of Fern's vulnerability and how she might not be as strong as she thinks she is. In Season 1, nobody really challenged her, and I mean that figuratively, not physically. She made light work of Lugnir. She handled that second-class mage from the exam with ease. She even held her own against Frieren's replica. Season 1 was a Tuesday for Fern. That said, the Northern Plateau is different. There's stronger monsters here that adapt during battle, and one slip could cost you your life. She quickly learns that some of these battles require more than individual strength, and that's where being part of a party really starts to matter. The only way to bring them down is through determination and teamwork. If that weren't enough, Fern also comes to realize how heavily she relies on magic. There's an episode where Fern and Frieren lose their magic abilities because of these magic nullifying crystals. These rare blue minerals negate all magic within a certain radius, making them especially dangerous for mages. It's a new experience for her, and she's still figuring out how to handle it. For Fern, magic has been a strong part of her identity for most of her life. It's all she's ever really known, and without it, she feels vulnerable and isolated. I imagine she felt the same kind of isolation when Frieren made her study Elvish as a young girl, because nothing says childhood fun like ancient grammar rules. Luckily for Fern, she has a warrior by her side to support her when she needs it most. Of course, we can't forget everyone's favorite frontliner, Stark. Earlier I mentioned that Frieren changed the most. Conversely, Stark has changed the least. And I don't mean that in a bad way. With Stark, you pretty much know what you're gonna get. Frieren's like a box of chocolates, right? Stark is he's like an instruction manual nobody reads. That is to say, he's an open book. You already know what's written, which is what makes him so dependable. He's very animated in his expressions. You know when he's happy, when he's sad, and everything in between. I mean, come on. His face gives everything away. Stark is devoted to his friends as ever, always trying to do right by them. And in Season 2, Stark is doing exactly what you'd expect from him. His fight scenes in the Northern Plateau are just... I was not expecting that level of quality. The fight scenes are amazing, the kind of S-tier level you'd normally expect from a shonen series. He commits to seeing everything through, even putting himself on the line to secure victory. Aizen would be proud. Stark is a more than capable warrior, but he could still stand to learn a few things, especially when it comes to women his own age. Look, I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm by no means an expert with women, nor do I claim to be, but nephew. When you go on a date and she takes the time to dress up, it's customary to compliment how she looks. It's Fern's first date, so keep it simple, keep it casual. Something like, you look nice, or you look great. Do you know what Stark said after first laying eyes on Fern? Are you ready to go? Wear a sign when you need him. Brother, you are missed. And honestly, I can't even be mad. If you know his backstory, it's not exactly one you'd call easy. The only parental figures in Stark's life were a disappointed father, a master who's terrible at communication, and a grandma whose idea of a good time is rummaging through grimoires for 10 hours straight. And yes, I called Frieren old. I'm hoping that the time spent in the Northern Plateau, Stark put some points into charisma. That's Frieren Season 2, a more relaxed journey, one that takes its time and lets the characters breathe. This season leans more into the small details, the campfires, the conversations, the awkward silences, and yes, the 3-day tantrums. That's what makes the adventure feel alive. They show us that growth doesn't always come from epic battles. Sometimes it comes from traveling together, learning together, and slowly understanding each other a little more. Frieren is more expressive with the people around her, showing emotions more freely and feeling more human than ever before. Fern faces moments of vulnerability and realizes strength comes from trusting those around her. And Stark, well, he's still the same dependable warrior, just maybe one compliment away from leveling up his social stats. Season 2 leads directly into the Golden Land arc, an introspective story set in a city frozen in gold. It highlights Denkin and dives into themes of memory, nostalgia, and what separates humans from demons. It's arguably one of the best arcs in Frieren. And we don't have to wait too long. It's projected to release late in 2027. And I can't wait. Because the next arc is going to challenge the party in new ways and test everything they've learned so far. Thanks for watching. And as always, remember to save your progress. Because every change leads somewhere new. If you made it to the end of the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps the channel. Thanks.